So, Coca-Cola has found itself in a little bit of hot water after a viral social media post revealed that some Coca-Cola employees have completed a racial sensitivity training course that teaches participants how to be less white. Now, Karlyn Borysenko, who is a psychiatrist and somebody who is fighting against this crazy, dangerous, and dare I say evil critical race theory that is now being put into all of our corporations. You are going to face this, and you need to stand up against it. The slides from the course, titled Confronting Racism, states understanding what racism means and what it means to be white. What it means to be white. Okay, what does it mean to be black? What does it mean to be Jewish? Challenging what it means to be a racist. Now, they go through the slides, and one says, to be less white. Now, imagine, again, if we were to reverse the colors. That's how you always know if something's wrong. You just reverse the subject, and if it feels bad when you say it, then you know it's probably racist the other way too. So if I said, you need to be less black, Coca-Cola would like their workers to be less black. Really?
Wow. Yeah, there would be no Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it would be
approximately 1 week from today if they were to do that.
By the way, you want to talk about the whitest American Western company? I would say it would have to be Coca-Cola. I mean, when you think of white culture, Stu, white culture, they're from Atlanta. Do you think that was black culture? No, they were oppressing people in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. But if you think of them, an American company, it's always traditionally been Levi's and Coca-Cola. Now, Levi's has kind of bitten the dust a little bit, but Coca-Cola is everywhere. It's an American company. Be less white is to be less Coca-Cola, really, quite honestly. I mean, dare I say it. To be less white is to be less oppressive. To be less arrogant. To be less certain. To be less defensive. To be less ignorant. To be more humble.
Calling white people as a race ignorant. Can you, again, shall we reverse the colors on that one and see how it works out?
I mean, all white people are arrogant and ignorant.
What is racism, honestly, other than defining a group of people based on a negative characteristic, right? Is ignorance a negative characteristic? Is arrogance a negative characteristic? Of course it is. When you define, this is the definition of racism. Robin DiAngelo, Ibram X. Kendi, this entire movement of white fragility and anti-racism should be viewed the same way that Richard Spencer is viewed.
Yes.
As racism wrapped in intellectualism.
Yeah, the organizational psychologist who helps companies become better. She has now committed herself to combating the influence of critical race theory in America. Her name is Dr. Karlyn Borysenko, good friend of the program. Hi, Karlyn. How are you?
I'm doing well, Glenn. Thanks for having me back.
So you made some headlines over the weekend. You are the one who wrote the first post about Coca-Cola. Tell me how this happened and what happened.
Yeah, so on Friday, well, let me back up one day. On Thursday, Coca-Cola sent out an email to its employees about this diversity training program that they were implementing, in which they said a specific course of programming was required. Now, the very next day, I got an email from a whistleblower at the company who had been talking with their team members, and all of them were incredibly uncomfortable about this specific training that told them to try to be less white. And so one of them was very brave, and he has watched my videos on YouTube and reached out to me and provided me evidence of the training, and I posted it on Twitter. Frankly, not really expecting it to get the reception that it did, because I feel like I've been screaming about these training programs for the better part of a year. But thankfully, a lot of people took notice, and it's really gotten a lot of attention.
Now, Coca-Cola has done some really disturbing things. They are all in on the Great Reset and the ESGs, which people need to watch for. ESG, environmental, social, and governmental standards. So the social part is like critical race. It is social justice. The environmental piece is the Green New Deal. And these companies are resetting, and Coca-Cola has been on the forefront of it. If you look into Coca-Cola's online presence and what they say, their bottling company in Europe actually says, in order for us to justify our business license, we do X, Y, and Z. And when did we have to start justifying a business license? I mean, you have to be within the parameters, but now you have to do social work. You have to do training on critical race theory, et cetera, to, quote, justify your business license. They're just ahead of the rest of these corporations, I think.
Well, maybe, but I actually think that the questions at play here are much bigger than Coca-Cola. You know, a lot of people have been calling for a boycott of Coca-Cola since the news broke. And, well, I think that's all fine, well, and good. The reality is that this training exists on LinkedIn Learning. And what that means is that there are probably thousands of other companies out there that are having employees do this very same training. And we already know that there are employees from some of the biggest companies in the world that are actually taking this training as we speak. So for my money, I think that the story about Coke is interesting just because it's a really large company, but the amount of companies that are already doing this and the amount of money that Robin DiAngelo is making convincing white people that they are racist is the real story here.
So tell me what she was teaching. Coca-Cola came out and said, no. That stuff on LinkedIn, that wasn't the focus of the training. That's how they tried to deny it and say that, no, we weren't doing any of that. What were they doing?
Well, I also think it's worth noting that you're quoting Coca-Cola's first statement that was procured by the Blaze, but they actually came out with a second statement a couple hours later, which says, oh, no, we weren't having our employees do this specific training at all. So they went from confirmation to denial within a couple hours. But I mean, this is very typical Robin DiAngelo training. It's teaching white people that they are every negative thing in the book. And what it's actually doing is Robin DiAngelo's biggest grievances are, frankly, with people who are presenting a self-empowerment that she feels uncomfortable with. It's when people, aren't afraid to express themselves, aren't afraid to stand up for what they believe in. It's a very specific type of communication style that she seems to have the most grievances with, and she's labeling that as all white people, which of course is not the case at all. And in fact, I'll tell you this, the whistleblower that reached out to me is not white in any way, shape, or form, and they were still uncomfortable with the specific training. So
there are so many people that I know. I have friends in so many different businesses and big companies, from financial houses to lawyers to architects to show people. And they're all saying they're going through these trainings. And I've asked them, so what are you doing about it? We just shut up. I said, that's possibly the worst thing you can do. And they're like, I don't want to lose my job, Glenn. And I honestly don't know who's on my side. I know a couple of people that we kind of look at each other during the meetings, but I don't know who's shutting their mouth and who feels like this is the right thing to do. And I'll lose my job. What should people do?
Yeah, I mean, it is a sticky situation to be in because even if you ask questions about these trainings, you are at very real risk of losing your job. But I'll tell you this, what I'm trying to do right now is actually I'm working on getting critical race theory banned in state agencies and in state contractors at a state level in New Hampshire. There is actually a bill right now. I just testified for it last week in the New Hampshire House of Representatives called HB 544, which would ban state money being spent on this type of training. And I actually know from the whistleblowers at Coke that when President Trump issued his executive order that banned this at a federal level, Coke actually put the pause on it for a minute, and they brought it back after Biden rescinded the executive order on his first day. So I think the very best thing people can do right now is reach out to your state representatives, try to get this banned on a state level in state agencies and in state government contractors, and that'll go a long way.